In a forgotten corner of town stands the decrepit remnants of an asylum, a place shrouded in mystery and whispered tales of horror. A group of curious teenagers, led by their daredevil leader, decides to explore the abandoned asylum one fateful night. As they approach, the building looms ominously against the darkened sky, its windows shattered and its walls covered in graffiti. With a sense of trepidation, the teenagers push open the rusty gates of the asylum and step inside. The air is thick with dust and the smell of decay, and the sound of their footsteps echoes through the empty halls. As they explore further, they can't shake the feeling of being watched, as if unseen eyes are following their every move. As the teenagers make their way through the asylum, they encounter a series of long, dark corridors, lined with doors that lead to unknown rooms. The air grows colder with each step, and strange sounds echo through the halls, a soft whisper here, a distant moan there. Goosebumps prickle their skin as they press on, their hearts pounding in their chests. As they explore deeper into the asylum, the teenagers come across the remnants of the facility's dark past, straitjackets strewn across the floor, rusty medical instruments left behind, and graffiti-covered walls adorned with the names of forgotten patients. The air grows heavy with the weight of the asylum's history, and the teenagers can't shake the feeling of being watched by unseen eyes. As they delve deeper into the asylum, the teenagers begin to feel the presence of something malevolent lurking in the shadows, a cold chill that seeps into their bones, a sense of dread that hangs heavy in the air. Strange phenomena occur with increasing frequency, doors slamming shut on their own, objects moving of their own accord, and ghostly apparitions appearing out of the darkness. As the malevolent presence grows stronger, the teenagers realize they must find a way out of the asylum before it's too late. They race through the halls, their footsteps echoing through the empty corridors as they search for an exit. But the asylum seems to shift and change around them, leading them deeper into its darkened depths. Cornered by the malevolent presence, the teenagers find themselves face to face with the source of the asylum's haunting, a restless spirit trapped within its walls. With nowhere left to run, they must confront the spirit head-on, armed only with their courage and determination. As the spirit looms before them, they steel themselves for a battle against the forces of darkness. With a final, desperate effort, the teenagers manage to banish the restless spirit from the asylum, freeing it from its eternal torment. As the spirit fades away into the darkness, the asylum begins to crumble around them, its walls crumbling to dust as the dawn breaks over the horizon. With a sense of relief and exhaustion, the teenagers emerge from the ruins, knowing that they've faced their fears and emerged victorious. The dense forest of Hollow Creek was known for its eerie legends. Sarah, a young journalist, drove through the fog-covered road, her headlights barely piercing the thick mist. She was here to investigate the mysterious disappearances that plagued the town. As she reached the edge of the forest, a grand, decaying mansion emerged from the fog. Sarah stepped inside the mansion, her footsteps echoing in the vast, empty space. The air was cold and damp, and the smell of mold filled her nose. She walked through the grand foyer, noticing the decaying furniture and torn paintings. Her flashlight flickered, casting long shadows on the walls. Sarah's exploration led her to an old library. Shelves of dusty books lined the walls, and a grand fireplace dominated one side of the room. As she examined the books, she noticed one that seemed out of place. Pulling it out, a hidden door creaked open, revealing a dark, narrow passageway. Sarah entered the hidden passage, her flashlight illuminating the narrow, claustrophobic space. The walls were lined with old, faded photographs and strange symbols. As she moved deeper, she felt an overwhelming sense of dread. The passage led to a small, hidden room, filled with old toys and a child's bed. In the hidden room, Sarah felt a sudden chill. She turned to see a ghostly figure of a young girl standing by the bed, her eyes hollow and filled with sorrow. The girl reached out to Sarah, whispering, "Help me." Before Sarah could react, the girl vanished, leaving a small antique locket on the bed. Sarah picked up the locket and opened it, revealing a photograph of the young girl and an inscription, "To my beloved daughter, Emily." Determined to uncover the truth, Sarah searched the mansion's records and discovered that Emily had disappeared decades ago. Her family had hidden a dark secret. Emily was not their only victim. As Sarah pieced together the tragic history, The spirits of the mansion grew restless. Shadows moved on their own, and ghostly whispers filled the air. Emily's spirit appeared again, this time leading Sarah to the basement. There she found the remains of Emily and other victims. The spirits demanded justice. Determined to set the spirits free, Sarah confronted the mansion's last living descendant, a reclusive old man. She forced him to confess to his family's crimes. As he admitted the truth, the spirits appeared, surrounding him. With a final, sorrowful wail, they dragged him into the shadows, vanishing forever. With the truth revealed and justice served, the mansion began to crumble. Sarah escaped just in time, watching from a distance as the once grand estate collapsed into ruins. The spirits of Hollow Creek were finally at peace, and the oppressive fog lifted, revealing a bright, clear sky.
Ravenswood Mansion loomed on the hill, surrounded by dense, dark woods. Its windows were dark, and the setting sun painted the sky with deep orange hues, casting eerie shadows across the land. Inside, the mansion's foyer was grand but covered in dust. A large, winding staircase led to the upper floors. An old chandelier hung from the ceiling, its crystals dull and dusty, hinting at the mansion's forgotten grandeur. The living room had a large fireplace with cold ashes, a dusty rug, and old furniture covered in white sheets. Faint light filtered through the broken windows, casting long shadows on the walls. The kitchen was in disrepair, with broken cabinets and rusted appliances. A large wooden table sat in the center, covered in cobwebs. The air was thick with the scent of decay and neglect. The dining room featured a long table with a dusty tablecloth and overturned chairs. The windows were boarded up, and the room was dimly lit by a single candle, casting flickering shadows on the walls. A grand staircase wound upward into darkness. The steps creaked underfoot, and the banister was thick with dust. A faint, eerie light glowed at the top of the stairs, beckoning yet foreboding. The master bedroom featured a large canopy bed covered in dust and cobwebs. The cracked windows allowed moonlight to filter through, illuminating the peeling wallpaper and adding to the room's eerie atmosphere. The basement was dark and damp, with stone walls and a dirt floor. Old rusty chains hung from the ceiling, and the air was thick with the smell of mold and decay. The sense of dread was palpable. A hidden room in the basement was filled with old books and strange artifacts. A large, cracked mirror reflected a distorted image, and a single candle flickered on a dusty desk, casting unsettling shadows. As dawn broke, Ravenswood Mansion was bathed in soft, golden light. The shadows receded, but the mansion still looked eerie and abandoned. Birds began to sing, but the air was still heavy with the night's terrors. On a chilly autumn evening, 4 college friends, Megan, Brian, Laura, and Kevin, stand before the old, decrepit house at the edge of town. The house, abandoned for years, is known for its dark past. Kevin challenges the group to spend the night inside. With nervous laughter and a sense of adventure, they agree and push open the creaky gate. The front door groans as it swings open, revealing a dark, musty interior. Dust motes dance in the beams of their flashlights. The smell of mold and decay fills the air. They step inside, the floorboards creaking under their feet, and the door slams shut behind them with a deafening bang. They make their way to the living room, where an old grand piano stands covered in dust. The wallpaper is peeling, and the room is filled with antique furniture draped in white sheets. Brian lifts a sheet to reveal a mirror, and they see a fleeting reflection of a shadowy figure behind them. A cold breeze brushes past them, and they hear a whispering sound, faint but unmistakable. Laura shivers and clutches Brian's arm. They decide to explore further, moving cautiously towards the source of the whispering. In the kitchen, they find old, rusted appliances and broken dishes scattered on the floor. The whispering grows louder, and they see a ghostly figure of a woman in tattered clothes standing by the stove. She disappears as quickly as she appeared, leaving them shaken. They discover a door leading to the basement. Kevin suggests going down, but Megan hesitates. The others convince her, and they descend the creaky stairs, their flashlights barely cutting through the darkness. The air grows colder, and an oppressive feeling surrounds them. In the basement, they find an old wooden table with strange symbols carved into it. A low growling noise fills the room, and they see glowing eyes staring at them from the shadows. Panic sets in, and they scramble back up the stairs, the door slamming shut behind them. Breathless and terrified, they race towards the front door. The house seems to come alive, with doors slamming and ghostly wails echoing through the halls. They struggle to open the front door, finally bursting out into the cool night air. The house falls silent behind them. Outside, they collapse onto the grass, catching their breath. The house looms dark and silent behind them. They vow never to return, each one haunted by the memories of what they saw and heard. The night air is cold, but they feel a sense of relief and safety. Back in their dorms, the friends try to return to normal life. But each night, they are haunted by nightmares of the ghostly woman and the glowing eyes in the basement. The whispers still echo in their minds, reminding them that some horrors can never be forgotten.
Evelyn and her friends, Mark, Lisa, and John, stood at the edge of the dense forest, staring at the looming structure of Blackwood Mansion. The sun was setting, casting long shadows that seemed to reach out and grab at their feet. The mansion, abandoned for decades, had an eerie aura that made them shiver despite the warm summer evening. "I can't believe we are actually doing this," Lisa muttered, her voice trembling. "It's just for one night," Mark reassured her, though he didn't sound convinced. "We spend the night, prove the ghost stories wrong, and then leave." John, the skeptic of the group, laughed. "Ghosts aren't real. You'll see." Evelyn, the leader of the group, took a deep breath and stepped forward, pushing open the creaking iron gate. "Let's go." Inside the mansion, the air was thick with dust and the scent of decay. The wooden floorboards creaked under their feet as they explored the dimly lit corridors. Each room they entered seemed more decayed than the last, with peeling wallpaper and broken furniture strewn about. "Look at this," John called from one of the rooms. He held up an old photograph of a family, their faces blurred with age. "This must be the original owners." Evelyn shivered. "There's something unsettling about this place." Mark found an old journal on a dusty bookshelf. "Maybe this will tell us more about what happened here." As the night wore on, strange things began to happen. Lights flickered even though the mansion had no electricity. The sound of footsteps echoed through the halls, though no one was there. Whispers seemed to come from the walls themselves. Lisa clung to Mark. "Did you hear that?" "It's just the wind," John said, though his voice was unsteady. Evelyn held the journal tightly, her eyes scanning the pages. "There's something here. Something about a curse." A loud crash echoed from the hallway, and they all jumped. Mark grabbed a flashlight and led the way, finding a broken mirror on the floor, though no one had touched it. Evelyn's hands trembled as she turned the pages of the journal. "It says here that the family who lived here dabbled in dark magic. They summoned something they couldn't control." Mark's eyes widened. "What did they summon?" "A spirit of vengeance," Evelyn whispered. "It's trapped here, and it feeds on fear." John scoffed, but his face was pale. "This is ridiculous. There are no such things as spirits." Lisa pointed to the mirror. "Then how do you explain that?" Before John could answer, the temperature in the room dropped suddenly. Their breath fogged in the air, and a low growl resonated from the shadows. A shadowy figure emerged from the darkness, its eyes glowing red. The friends backed away, their fear palpable. The figure seemed to grow stronger, feeding on their terror. "Stay together!" Evelyn shouted, her voice breaking. John tried to act brave, stepping forward. "Leave us alone." The spirit lashed out, sending John crashing into a wall. Lisa screamed, and Mark pulled her back, trying to protect her. Evelyn held up the journal like a shield. "There's a way to banish it. We just have to find it." Evelyn frantically flipped through the journal, looking for the banishment ritual. "We need to find the symbols and say the words." Mark and Lisa barricaded the door, trying to buy them time. The spirit pounded against it, its growls growing louder. "Found it!" Evelyn cried, showing the page to the others. "Let's do this," Mark said, determination in his eyes. They quickly gathered the materials described in the journal, creating a circle of protection. Evelyn began to chant the words, her voice steady despite the fear. The spirit broke through the door just as Evelyn finished the chant. It roared in fury, but the circle of protection glowed, holding it at bay. "Keep chanting!" Evelyn yelled, her voice filled with authority. The spirit thrashed against the barrier, but it couldn't break through. Slowly, it began to weaken, its form dissolving into the air. With one final, deafening scream, the spirit vanished. The mansion fell silent, the oppressive atmosphere lifting. "We did it," Mark said, his voice filled with relief. The friends stumbled out of the mansion, the first light of dawn breaking over the horizon. They were exhausted, but relieved to be alive. "Let's never do that again," Lisa said, managing a weak smile. Evelyn held up the journal, now closed. "We should make sure no one else ever tries." John nodded. "Agreed. This place should stay forgotten." They walked away, the mansion behind them now just a shadow against the rising sun.
Lucy and her husband, Mark, move into an old Victorian-style house they bought at a bargain price. The house is large and filled with antique furniture. As they unpack, Lucy finds a covered portrait in the attic. She pulls off the cloth, revealing a beautiful woman with haunting eyes. She decides to hang it in the living room. That night, Lucy wakes up to strange noises, soft whispers and the sound of footsteps. She dismisses it as the house settling. When she looks at the portrait, the eyes seem to follow her. She feels a chill but convinces herself it's just her imagination. The next day, Lucy hears whispers coming from the living room. She finds Mark staring at the portrait, mesmerized. When she touches his shoulder, he snaps out of it, claiming he heard the woman in the portrait whispering his name. Lucy starts to feel uneasy about the painting. Determined to understand the painting's origins, Lucy visits the local library. She discovers that the woman in the portrait is Isabella, a former owner of the house who disappeared under mysterious circumstances. It's rumored that her spirit haunts the house. That night, the whispers grow louder, and Lucy sees a shadowy figure moving through the house. The air grows cold, and the portrait seems to come alive, the woman's expression changing to one of anger. Lucy feels a strong, malevolent presence. Lucy and Mark contact a paranormal investigator. The investigator explains that Isabella's spirit is trapped and angry. He suggests they find something that belonged to Isabella and use it to perform a ritual to release her spirit. Lucy searches the attic and finds an old diary belonging to Isabella. The diary details her life and the love she lost. It also mentions a locket that she cherished. Lucy finds the locket hidden in a secret compartment in the attic. Lucy and Mark, guided by the paranormal investigator, perform the ritual using the locket. As they chant, the house shakes, and Isabella's ghostly figure appears. She looks sad, but grateful. She reaches out, touches the locket, and then fades away. The air becomes warm and peaceful. With Isabella's spirit at rest, the house feels lighter and more welcoming. The whispers and footsteps stop. Lucy and Mark decide to stay and cherish the history of the house. They hang the locket in a special place to remember Isabella. Months later, Lucy and Mark enjoy their peaceful home. They often think about Isabella and the extraordinary events that brought them closer together. The house is no longer haunted, but the memories of the past live on in a peaceful way.
Emma, a young writer in her late 20s, inherits an old mansion called Everwood Manor from her estranged aunt. Hoping to find inspiration for her next novel, she moves into the house. As she steps inside, she feels an unsettling chill. The house, surrounded by tall, dark trees, looks like it hasn't been lived in for years. Dust covers the furniture, and the air is thick with the scent of old wood and mildew. She feels a strange sense of foreboding, but brushes it off as nerves. On her first night, Emma struggles to sleep. The house is filled with strange noises, the creaking of floorboards, the whisper of the wind through cracks in the windows, and distant, indistinct whispers. She hears what sounds like footsteps outside her bedroom door, but when she checks, no one is there. She returns to bed, uneasy and sleep-deprived. The next day, while exploring the house, Emma discovers a locked door in the basement. Curious, she searches the house and finds an old rusty key hidden in a drawer. She uses the key to unlock the door and finds a small room filled with old furniture, cobwebs, and a large, ornate mirror covered with a cloth. Emma removes the cloth from the mirror and, to her shock, sees the reflection of a young girl standing behind her. When she turns around, no one is there. The mirror begins to show disturbing images of past events in the house, including a girl being trapped and crying for help. Emma feels a chill run down her spine. Determined to find out more, Emma searches the house and finds an old diary hidden behind a loose brick in the fireplace. The diary belonged to her aunt and details a tragic story of a girl named Lily who lived in the house and mysteriously disappeared. Emma realizes the ghost she saw is Lily, trapped in the mirror. Emma decides to perform a seance to communicate with Lily's spirit. She sets up candles and chants words from the diary. The room grows cold, and Lily's ghost appears, revealing that she was trapped by a dark ritual performed by Emma's aunt. Lily begs Emma to free her. Following Lily's instructions, Emma gathers the items needed to break the ritual: a locket, a piece of Lily's clothing, and a special incantation. As she performs the ritual, the house shakes violently, and a dark, malevolent spirit tries to stop her. Emma persists, chanting the incantation louder and louder. The dark spirit attacks, but Emma continues the ritual, calling out to Lily for strength. A bright light fills the room, and the dark spirit screams before dissipating into nothingness. Lily's spirit smiles gratefully at Emma before ascending into the light, finally freed. With the haunting over, the house feels lighter and more welcoming. Emma finishes her novel, inspired by Lily's story. She decides to keep Everwood Manor and transform it into a place of peace and creativity. Sitting on the porch, she feels a deep connection to the house and its history, ready for a new beginning.
A narrow path winds its way into the heart of the dense forest, the trees towering overhead like ancient guardians. As the sun dips below the horizon, long shadows stretch across the forest floor, setting a sinister tone for what lies ahead. Within the depths of the forest lies a moonlit clearing, bathed in an ethereal glow. The towering trees encircle the space, their branches swaying in an unsettling silence. Wisps of fog creep along the ground, adding to the eerie atmosphere of the secluded grove. Amidst the darkness stands an abandoned cabin, its once sturdy structure now crumbling under the weight of neglect. Boarded-up windows and sagging roof shingles give it a desolate appearance, while the encroaching vines seem to reclaim it for nature. The air is heavy with a palpable sense of unease. The forest path twists and turns, disappearing into the inky darkness of the woods. Twisted roots snake across the forest floor, tripping hazards in the dim light. Above, the canopy creates eerie patterns of shadow and light, adding to the sense of disorientation and dread. Within the depths of the forest flows the Whispering Brook, its gentle waters shimmering in the pale moonlight. Overhanging branches sway in the night breeze, casting eerie shadows that dance upon the surface of the water. Despite its serene appearance, an underlying sense of unease lingers in the air. Deep within the forest lies a forgotten graveyard, its weathered tombstones bearing silent witness to the passage of time. Wisps of mist cling to the ground, shrouding the graves in an otherworldly haze. The air is thick with the weight of forgotten souls, their presence palpable in the stillness of the night. A decaying bridge stretches across a gaping chasm, its once sturdy structure now a maze of rusted metal and rotting wood. The sound of creaking echoes through the night as the bridge sways precariously in the breeze. Moonlight filters through the gaps, casting unsettling shadows upon the turbulent waters below. A grove of twisted trees stands in the heart of the forest, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. Wisps of fog weave between the trunks, and the air is thick with an oppressive silence. In the depths of the forest stands a forsaken well, its stone walls weathered by time and neglect. Moss and ivy cling.
Briarwood Manor stood silent and foreboding at the end of a long, winding road. Jane, a young historian, arrived just as the sun was setting. She had heard stories about the mansion's dark past and was determined to uncover the truth. As she approached the front door, the wind howled and the trees whispered ominously. Jane pushed open the heavy wooden door, which creaked loudly. The interior was dark and filled with the smell of dust and decay. She turned on her flashlight, revealing a grand but dilapidated foyer. The once beautiful chandeliers hung broken, and the walls were lined with tattered wallpaper. In the main hallway, Jane's flashlight beam fell on a large portrait of a stern-looking man. The eyes seemed to follow her as she moved. She felt a shiver run down her spine. Suddenly, a cold breeze blew through the hallway, and the portrait's expression changed to one of anger. Jane discovered a hidden door behind a bookshelf in the library. She pushed it open to find a small, secret room. The room was filled with old, dusty books and strange artifacts. In the center of the room was a table with a large, leather-bound journal. She opened it and began to read. The journal belonged to William Briarwood, the original owner of the manor. It detailed dark rituals and a pact with a malevolent spirit to gain wealth and power. The final entry mentioned a curse that would doom anyone who lived in the house. Jane realized the manor was haunted by the spirits of those sacrificed in the rituals. As Jane read the journal, she heard whispers around her. Ghostly figures of the sacrificed appeared, their faces twisted in agony. They warned her to leave before it was too late. The temperature in the room dropped, and Jane could see her breath. She knew she had to get out. Rushing to leave, Jane encountered the malevolent spirit of William Briarwood himself. He appeared at the top of the grand staircase, his eyes glowing with an evil light. He blocked her path, his voice echoing through the manor, threatening her for disturbing his peace. Jane ran through the dark hallways, the spirit close behind her. She burst through the front door and into the night. The manor seemed to sigh as she left, the wind howling around her. She didn't stop running until she reached her car. As she drove away, she could still feel the spirit's eyes on her. Safe in her apartment, Jane reviewed the footage she had captured. The images of the spirits and the journal entries were clear evidence of the haunting. She knew she had to share the story, but a part of her feared the curse might follow her. She felt a cold draft and shivered, wondering if she was truly safe. On a dark, stormy night, 5 friends, Alice, Ben, Clara, David, and Eva, walk down a desolate street. They come across an old, dilapidated house at the end of the road. The house is known among locals as the last house on the street and is rumored to be haunted. Despite their fear, curiosity gets the better of them, and they decide to explore the house. The door creaks loudly as they push it open, revealing a dusty, abandoned interior. They enter the living room, which is filled with old furniture and a large, cracked mirror on the wall. Suddenly, the door slams shut behind them, and they hear faint whispering. The whispering leads them to a hidden door behind the stairs, which opens to a dark basement. Hesitant but determined, they descend the creaky steps, the air growing colder with each step. In the basement, they find an old chest. When they open it, they discover ancient cursed artifacts and a diary. The diary tells the story of a family that disappeared mysteriously, and it warns of a malevolent spirit trapped in the house. As they read the diary, the temperature drops, and a chilling presence fills the room. Shadows begin to move on their own, and the friends see a ghostly figure emerging from the darkness. Realizing they need to escape, they run back up the stairs. The house seems to come alive, with doors slamming and windows shattering. They finally break free and run out into the stormy night, vowing never to return. Back in the safety of their homes, they sit together, shaken but relieved. They know they will never forget the night they encountered the haunted house at the end of the street.
At the edge of town lies the entrance to the Whispering Woods, a place shrouded in mystery and whispered tales of the supernatural. The path winds its way into the heart of the forest, disappearing into the dense mist that clings to the trees like a shroud. Deep within the woods, a group of friends has set up camp for the night, seeking adventure in the unknown depths of the forest. A small campfire crackles and hisses, casting flickering shadows that seem to dance in time with the whispers that echo through the trees. In a moonlit clearing, the dense canopy of trees creates an oppressive atmosphere, suffocating the sounds of the night. Moss-covered ground crunches beneath the feet of the campers as they venture deeper into the heart of the woods, a sense of foreboding settling over them like a suffocating blanket. Suddenly, the group stumbles upon an old, abandoned cabin nestled among the trees. Its windows are shattered, and the door hangs off its hinges, swinging ominously in the breeze. Moonlight filters through the cracks in the walls, casting eerie shadows that seem to dance and sway with a life of their own. Inside the cabin, the main room is a scene of decay and neglect. Decaying furniture sits shrouded in cobwebs, and dust hangs thick in the air like a tangible presence. The only sound is the creaking of floorboards beneath their feet and the distant whispers that seem to emanate from the very walls themselves. In the bedroom, a tattered mattress lies abandoned amidst peeling wallpaper and crumbling plaster. Moonlight filters weakly through a cracked window, casting eerie shadows that seem to writhe and twist upon the walls like living things. Descending into the basement, the air grows thick with the scent of decay and mold. Rusted chains hang ominously from the ceiling, their purpose long forgotten. The sound of dripping water echoes through the darkness, a constant reminder of the relentless passage of time. In the attic, cobwebs cling like shrouds to forgotten relics of a bygone era. Dusty trunks sit amidst a clutter of long-forgotten possessions, their secrets buried beneath layers of neglect. Moonlight filters through a broken skylight, casting an ethereal glow upon the abandoned treasures that lie hidden in the shadows. Venturing deeper into the heart of the woods, the trees close in around them like silent sentinels, their twisted branches reaching up towards the sky like gnarled fingers. Moonlight struggles to penetrate the thick canopy, casting eerie shadows that seem to dance and sway with a life of their own. As dawn breaks, the first light of morning filters through the trees, casting a golden glow over the clearing. The campfire smolders, its flames reduced to embers, and the forest is bathed in an eerie silence that seems to linger long after the night has passed. In the heart of Hollow Creek, an abandoned house sits atop a hill, its windows shattered and its doors hanging off their hinges. The locals whisper tales of a family who disappeared without a trace, leaving behind only the echoes of their screams. But when a group of teenagers decides to spend the night in the house, they quickly realize that the rumors were just the beginning of the horrors that await them. As the group of teenagers gathers outside the house, they dare each other to spend the night inside, eager to prove their bravery. With nervous laughter and shaky hands, they push open the creaking door and step inside, their hearts pounding in their chests. Little do they know they're about to come face to face with the horrors that lie within. As the teenagers explore the house, they feel an oppressive presence weighing down on them, a sense of malevolence that seems to seep from the very walls. They hear whispers in the darkness and catch fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures out of the corners of their eyes. Fear grips them tight as they realize they're not alone in the house. As the night wears on, the teenagers uncover clues about the house's dark past. A family torn apart by tragedy, their spirits trapped within the walls for eternity. They find old photographs and newspaper clippings, piecing together the story of the family's demise. But as they delve deeper, they awaken something sinister that has been lying dormant for years. As the night progresses, the house comes alive with paranormal activity. Doors slam shut on their own, objects move of their own accord, and ghostly apparitions appear in the darkness. The teenagers huddle together, their screams echoing through the empty halls as they realize they're trapped in a nightmare from which there's no escape. With adrenaline coursing through their veins, the teenagers make a final stand against the evil that haunts the house. Armed with makeshift weapons and fierce determination, they confront the ghostly apparitions that roam the halls, knowing that their survival depends on their ability to banish the darkness that lurks within. As dawn breaks, the paranormal activity subsides, and the house falls silent once more. The teenagers emerge from that darkness, battered and bruised but alive. They exchange weary smiles, knowing that they've faced their fears and emerged stronger for it. Though the scars of their ordeal will never fully heal, they take solace in the knowledge that they've conquered the darkness that once threatened to consume them.
Anna and her husband, Tom, arrive at Blackwood Manor, an old mansion they inherited from Anna's late uncle. The house is grand, but has been abandoned for years. As they explore, Anna finds a dusty old journal in the study. Curious, she decides to read it later. That night, Anna wakes up to strange noises, whispers, and faint footsteps. She dismisses it as the house settling. When she looks out the window, she sees a flickering light in the garden. She turns to wake Tom, but the light disappears when she looks back. The next day, Anna reads the journal. It belonged to her uncle, who wrote about a mysterious figure he saw in the house. The entries become more frantic, describing how the figure tormented him. His last entry warns about a hidden room in the attic. Determined to find the hidden room, Anna and Tom search the attic. They discover a concealed door behind some old furniture. Inside, they find an old nursery filled with dusty toys and a large, cracked mirror. In the mirror, Anna briefly sees a shadowy figure standing behind them. That night, the haunting intensifies. Anna sees the shadowy figure in the mirror again, now clearer and more menacing. The air grows cold, and she hears a chilling whisper saying, "Find my child." Terrified, she realizes the ghost is trying to communicate. Anna tells Tom about her experiences. They decide to seek help from a local historian. The historian tells them about the tragic history of Blackwood Manor, involving a woman named Eleanor, who lost her child and died in despair. Her spirit is believed to haunt the house. Following the historian's advice, Anna and Tom search the garden and find a small, unmarked grave hidden among the overgrowth. They realize it's the grave of Eleanor's child. They decide to perform a simple ritual to give the child a proper burial. Anna and Tom perform the ritual, laying flowers and saying a prayer. As they finish, they see Eleanor's ghost appear, looking peaceful. She silently thanks them before fading away. The air feels warmer and the oppressive atmosphere lifts. With the ritual complete, the haunting stops. The house feels lighter and more welcoming. Anna and Tom decide to stay, feeling a deep connection to the house and its history. They keep the journal as a reminder of the past they helped lay to rest. Months later, Anna and Tom enjoy their peaceful home. They often think about Eleanor and the child, and are grateful for the experience that brought them closer together and helped them appreciate their new home. The memories of the past live on, but in a peaceful way.
It was a cold, rainy evening when Emily received a letter from a law firm she had never heard of. Her great-uncle, a man she had never met, had passed away and left her his mansion, Blackwood Manor. Intrigued by the unexpected inheritance, Emily decided to visit the old house with her friends, Mark, Sophie, and Daniel. "I can't believe this place is mine," Emily said as they drove up the winding road to the mansion. Blackwood Manor loomed ahead, a Gothic structure with ivy-covered walls and dark, empty windows that seemed to watch their every move. "Looks like something out of a horror movie," Daniel joked, though his eyes reflected a hint of fear. Inside, the mansion was even more imposing. High ceilings, dusty furniture, and cobwebs in every corner gave it an eerie atmosphere. They split up to explore, each drawn to different parts of the house. "Look at this place," Sophie said, her voice echoing in the grand foyer. "It's like stepping back in time." Emily found herself in the library, where she discovered old family portraits in a large leather-bound book on a pedestal. As she opened it, a chill ran down her spine. The book contained detailed accounts of strange rituals and ghostly sightings. "This is weird," she murmured, feeling an inexplicable sense of dread. That night, the friends settled into their rooms. The wind howled outside, and the mansion creaked with every gust. Emily couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. As she tried to sleep, she heard whispers and footsteps in the hallway. "Who's there?" she called out, but received no answer. Suddenly, a figure appeared at the foot of her bed. Emily screamed, waking everyone up. When they rushed into her room, the figure was gone. "It was right there," Emily insisted, trembling. "It was just a bad dream," Mark said, trying to comfort her, but his voice lacked conviction. The next day, they decided to explore the basement, hoping to uncover the source of the strange occurrences. The basement was dark and musty, filled with old furniture and boxes. In the far corner, they found a hidden door. "This place just gets creepier," Daniel said as they pried the door open. Inside was a small room filled with bizarre artifacts, jars with strange contents, ancient symbols carved into the walls, and a large, dusty mirror. "What the hell is all this?" Sophie asked, her voice shaking. "It looks like some kind of ritual room," Emily said, her unease growing. Emily felt drawn to the mirror. As she wiped away the dust, she saw not just her reflection, but another face behind her. An old woman with hollow eyes and a sinister smile. "Emily, step away from the mirror," Mark said, pulling her back. The reflection changed, showing horrific scenes of past inhabitants suffering. The room grew colder and the sense of dread intensified. "We need to get out of here," Daniel said urgently. But the door slammed shut, trapping them inside. The symbols on the walls began to glow, and the ghostly face in the mirror started to chant. Trapped in the basement, the friends tried to find a way out. The ghostly presence grew stronger, manifesting in front of them. The old woman from the mirror appeared, her eyes filled with malice. "You shouldn't have come here," she hissed. "This house is cursed." Objects began to fly around the room, and the friends huddled together, trying to protect themselves. Emily remembered the book she found in the library. We need to perform a ritual to banish her, she shouted over the chaos. Emily and the others rushed back to the library to retrieve the book. As they read through the incantations, the mansion seemed to come alive, with doors slamming and windows shattering. Hurry, Emily, Sophie urged. Emily recited the ritual and the ghostly figure screamed in rage. The house shook violently and the friends struggled to keep their balance. By the power of light, we banish you, Emily shouted. A blinding light filled the room, and the ghost's scream reached a deafening pitch before she vanished, leaving the house silent once more. The mansion was eerily quiet after the ghost was banished. The friends cautiously explored, ensuring the spirit was truly gone. The oppressive atmosphere had lifted, and the house seemed almost peaceful. We did it, Daniel said, relieved. But what now? Sophie asked. This place still feels wrong. We should leave, Emily decided. This house needs to be left alone. They packed their things and left Blackwood Manor, vowing to never return. As they drove away, Emily glanced back one last time. The mansion stood silently, its dark history buried once more. Back in their town, life slowly returned to normal. The friends tried to move on, but the memories of Blackwood Manor lingered. Emily kept the book hidden away, a reminder of the horrors they faced. One night, Emily heard a familiar whispering. She turned to see the old woman from the mirror standing at the foot of her bed. Did you really think it was over? The ghost whispered, her voice dripping with malice. Emily screamed, and the room went dark. The nightmare was far from over. Ravenswood House had a reputation for being the most haunted place in the small town of Millfield. On a misty autumn evening, Emma, a curious journalist, arrived to investigate the legends surrounding the mansion. She parked her car at the gate, shivering from the cold and the eerie atmosphere. The mansion loomed in the distance, its windows like dark, watchful eyes. Emma pushed open the creaky wooden door of Ravenswood House. Inside, the air was cold and stale. Dust covered every surface and cobwebs hung from the ceiling. She turned on her flashlight, revealing a grand but decayed foyer. Her footsteps echoed as she ventured further inside, the silence pressing in on her. As Emma explored the mansion, she felt a sudden chill. Turning a corner, she saw a shadowy figure at the end of the hallway. The figure vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving her heart pounding. Determined to uncover more, she made her way to the library, hoping to find records of the mansion's dark past. In the library, Emma found rows of dusty old books. As she searched through them, she heard whispers and the sound of pages turning by themselves. She discovered an old diary belonging to the mansion's original owner, Lady Ravenswood. The entry spoke of dark rituals and a curse that had been placed on the house and its inhabitants. Emma's exploration led her to a room filled with mirrors. As she walked through, her reflection seemed to move on its own, eyes following her with an unsettling intensity. One mirror in particular caught her attention. In it, she saw the ghostly figure of a woman crying, her eyes pleading for help. Emma reached out to touch the mirror, but the image vanished. Emma discovered a hidden door behind a tattered curtain in the study. She descended the creaky stairs into a dark, musty basement. The room was filled with strange symbols painted on the walls and old dusty books scattered on a table. She found a journal detailing the dark rituals and a curse placed on the house by Lady Ravenswood. As Emma read the journal, the basement grew colder. A ghostly figure of Lady Ravenswood appeared, her face twisted with rage. She pointed at Emma and screamed, "You should not have come here." The walls shook, and the air filled with a chilling wind. Emma knew she had to leave immediately. Emma bolted up the stairs, the spirit's screams echoing behind her. She raced through the mansion, the walls seeming to close in on her. She burst through the front door and into the night, gasping for breath. The house stood silent and still, but she could feel the weight of its curse pressing down on her. Back in her apartment, Emma reviewed the photos and notes she had taken. The evidence of the haunting was undeniable. She wrote her article, revealing the dark history of Ravenswood House. As she finished, she felt a cold draft and heard Lady Ravenswood's voice whisper, "You cannot escape the curse." Emma knew the haunting was far from over.
Lena, Mark, and Sarah arrived at Ravenwood House, an old, decrepit mansion that had been abandoned for years. The house stood at the end of a lonely road, surrounded by thick, twisted trees. They were there to investigate the rumored hauntings for their paranormal blog. "This place is giving me chills already," Sarah whispered, hugging her coat tighter. "Perfect for our blog," Mark replied, setting up his camera. "Let's capture some real scares." Lena pushed open the heavy wooden door, which creaked loudly. "Let's go in and set up. The sooner we start, the sooner we can leave." Inside, the house was dark and filled with the smell of mold and dust. Cobwebs hung from the ceiling, and old furniture was scattered about. As they explored, they found old portraits on the walls, books with yellowed pages, and broken trinkets. "Look at this," Mark said, picking up a dusty photograph of a family. "They must have lived here a long time ago." Lena shivered. "It feels like they're still watching us." Sarah glanced nervously at the dark corners. "Let's just get the footage and get out of here." Lena found an old leather-bound journal on a table covered in dust. She opened it carefully and started reading aloud. The journal belonged to the house's previous owner, detailing strange occurrences and sightings of a ghostly figure. "Listen to this," Lena said, her voice trembling. "The owner saw a woman in white every night standing by the window." Sarah hugged herself. "That's creepy. What happened to them?" Lena turned the pages. "It just stops. No explanation." Mark filmed Lena reading. "This is exactly what we need. Keep going." As they continued exploring, the temperature in the room suddenly dropped. They saw a figure in a white dress standing at the end of the hallway. The figure's face was obscured by shadows, but they could feel its eyes on them. "Do you see that?" Mark whispered, his camera shaking. "Yes," Sarah replied, her voice barely audible. "Let's get out of here." The figure started moving towards them. They ran, slamming a door behind them. "We have to leave," Sarah insisted, her eyes wide with fear. "Not yet," Lena said, determined. "We need to find out what's really happening here." Lena found another entry in the journal that described a ritual to banish the spirit. They needed to gather candles, salt, and a mirror. The tension was palpable as they worked quickly, knowing the spirit could return any moment. "Are you sure this will work?" Mark asked, placing candles around the room. "It has to," Lena replied, pouring salt in a circle. "We don't have any other choice." Sarah held the mirror, her hands shaking. "Just hurry." As they began the ritual, the spirit returned, more menacing than before. It howled and thrashed against the barrier created by the salt circle. Lena chanted the incantation from the journal, her voice growing stronger with each word. "Keep it away from us!" Sarah shouted, clutching the mirror tightly. "We're almost there!" Lena yelled, her focus unbroken. The spirit's form began to waver and dissolve as the ritual reached its climax. With a final, desperate scream, it vanished into thin air. They collapsed to the floor, exhausted but relieved. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, replaced by an eerie calm. "We did it," Lena said, her voice barely a whisper. "Let's get out of here," Sarah urged, her eyes still wide with fear. They gathered their equipment and left the house, the first light of dawn breaking over the horizon. As they walked away, they felt a sense of triumph and relief. "Let's never do this again," Mark said, managing a weak smile. As they walked away from the house, the sun rose higher, casting a warm glow over the landscape. The house behind them was now just a distant memory, a place they would never forget but never return to. "Let's make a pact," Lena said, stopping to look at her friends. "We never speak of this again." "Agreed," Mark and Sarah said in unison. They walked on, leaving the haunted Ravenwood house behind, grateful to have survived their night of terror.
On a crisp autumn day, a group of friends arrives at a remote cabin nestled deep within the Whispering Woods. The leaves crunch beneath their feet as they unload their belongings from the car, eager for a weekend of hiking and relaxation. But as they glance into the dense forest surrounding the cabin, a sense of unease washes over them, as if the trees themselves are whispering secrets they dare not share. The friends set out on a hike through the Whispering Woods, following a narrow trail that winds through the dense foliage. The air is cool and fragrant, and the only sound is the gentle rustle of leaves overhead. But as they venture deeper into the forest, the whispers grow louder, like a chorus of voices urging them to turn back. As they hike, the friends stumble upon an abandoned cabin hidden deep in the woods. The windows are shattered, and the door hangs off its hinges. Intrigued, they decide to investigate, their curiosity outweighing their sense of caution. But as they step inside, they're greeted by an eerie silence that hangs heavy in the air. Inside the cabin, the friends find strange symbols scrawled on the walls and mysterious artifacts scattered about. A sense of unease washes over them as they realize they've stumbled upon something dark and sinister. They exchange nervous whispers, their voices echoing in the empty space. As night falls, the friends gather around a campfire outside the cabin, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames. But as they talk and laugh, they become aware of a strange sound, a soft whispering that seems to emanate from the very air around them. Their laughter fades, replaced by a growing sense of unease. That night, the friends are plagued by haunting dreams, visions of shadowy figures lurking in the darkness, their eyes glowing with malevolent intent. They toss and turn in their sleep, unable to escape the grip of fear that holds them tight. When they wake, they find themselves drenched in sweat, their hearts pounding in their chests. As the whispers grow louder and more insistent, the friends begin to unravel, their minds tormented by the malevolent voices that seem to follow them wherever they go. They argue and accuse one another, their once strong bonds fraying under the weight of paranoia and fear. But as they spiral further into madness, they realize they must confront the darkness that lurks within the Whispering Woods if they have any hope of escaping its grasp. Armed with determination, the friends set out into the forest, their hearts pounding in their chests as they confront the source of the whispers that have tormented them for so long. With each step, the voices grow louder, until they're surrounded by a cacophony of sound that threatens to drive them mad. But as they reach the heart of the woods, they discover the truth. The whispers are not coming from some malevolent force, but from the very trees themselves, their branches swaying in the breeze like fingers beckoning them closer. With a newfound sense of understanding, the friends make their way out of the forest, their minds clearer than they've been in days. As they emerge into the light of day, they feel a weight lifted from their shoulders, knowing that they've faced their fears and emerged stronger for it. Though the Whispering Woods will always hold a certain mystique, they know they'll never again be haunted by the whispers that once tormented them. As the sun sets, casting a crimson glow over the horizon, an imposing mansion stands silent and forsaken. Its once grand facade now weathered and covered in ivy, the mansion casts eerie shadows across the overgrown lawn, hinting at the secrets it holds within. In the neglected garden surrounding the mansion, tangled bushes and wilted flowers paint a haunting picture. Moonlight filters through the twisted branches of the trees, casting an ethereal glow upon patches of the eerie landscape, where shadows seem to dance in silent reverie. On the grand front porch of the mansion, once a beacon of opulence, now lies cracked and crumbling under the weight of time. Moonlight casts long shadows across the faded steps, adding to the sense of abandonment that permeates the air. Within the mansion's foyer, the dim light of dusty chandeliers flickers weakly, casting eerie shadows upon the tattered wallpaper. Moonlight filters through broken windows, illuminating cobweb-covered furniture that sits frozen in time, a silent witness to the mansion's descent into decay. In the cavernous ballroom of the mansion, the once glamorous dance floor now rots beneath neglect. Faded tapestries hang from the walls like forgotten memories, while moonlight streams through cracked skylights, casting ghostly patterns upon the abandoned space, as if the echoes of bygone celebrations still linger in the air. Within the mansion's library, the scent of dust hangs heavy in the air, mingling with the musty aroma of aging books. Tattered armchairs sit among shelves of ancient tomes, while moonlight filters through stained glass windows, casting colorful shadows upon the worn carpet that bears the weight of forgotten knowledge. In the dilapidated dining hall of the mansion, a long table lies buried beneath layers of cobwebs and neglect. Overturned chairs litter the floor, while moonlight streams through broken windows, casting an ethereal glow upon the decaying scene, where echoes of feasts long past still resonate in the silent air. Within the mansion's study, dusty bookshelves groan under the weight of forgotten knowledge, while forgotten artifacts gather dust in every corner. Moonlight filters weakly through dusty windows, casting long shadows upon the stacks of papers and abandoned furniture that clutter the room, where the ghosts of scholarly pursuits still linger in the darkness. In a desolate bedroom of the mansion, the once grand bed frame now sags under the weight of time, its faded curtains hanging limply from rusted rods. Moonlight filters weakly through cracked windows, casting eerie shadows upon the peeling walls, where whispers of dreams long forgotten still echo in the silent night. As dawn breaks over this mansion's overgrown backyard, the soft light of morning bathes the decaying structures in an ethereal glow. Mist rises from the damp earth, shrouding the forgotten corners of the estate in a veil of mystery, where the spirits of the past find solace in the dawn of a new day. In the quiet countryside, shrouded in mist, stands the imposing Blackwood Manor, a mansion long abandoned and rumored to be haunted. A group of thrill-seekers, Alex, Lily, and James, arrive at the manor one moonlit night, drawn by its dark history. As they approach the manor, they are greeted by a heavy iron gate, its rusty bars twisted and warped with age. The gate creaks open ominously, as if welcoming them into its dark embrace. The group hesitates, but their curiosity pushes them forward. Inside the manor, the air is thick with dust and the scent of decay. The group explores room after room, their footsteps echoing off the empty walls. Shadows dance in the flickering candlelight, and strange whispers seem to follow them wherever they go. As they delve deeper into the manor, they uncover signs of its dark past. Forgotten diaries filled with tales of madness and despair, hidden passages leading to secret chambers, and portraits of long-dead residents whose eyes seem to follow their every move. As night falls, the manor comes alive with ghostly apparitions and sinister whispers. The group is plagued by visions of the past, echoes of tragedy and despair that seem to seep from the very walls themselves, threatening to consume them. In a desperate bid to escape the manor's grasp, the group races through its labyrinthine halls, their hearts pounding and their breath coming in ragged gasps. But the manor seems to have other plans, its corridors shifting and changing before their eyes, trapping them in a nightmarish maze. Cornered in the manor's dark heart, the group confronts the malevolent force that has plagued them since their arrival. With a final desperate act of defiance, they banish the entity back into the shadows from whence it came, freeing themselves from its grasp and escaping into the night.
In the heart of a dense forest lies an abandoned mansion, its decrepit walls shrouded in darkness. 4 friends, Alex, Maya, Ben, and Lily, venture into the woods one misty evening, drawn by rumors of the mansion's haunting. As they approach, the mist thickens, enveloping the mansion in an eerie veil. With trepidation, the friends push open the creaking front door and step into the mansion's entryway. Cobwebs hang from the ceiling, and dust motes dance in the dim light. The air is heavy with a sense of foreboding as they explore further, their footsteps echoing off the dilapidated walls. Inside the mansion, they encounter a labyrinth of hallways lined with closed doors. Each room they enter is filled with decaying remnants of the past. Strange symbols are etched into the walls, and a chill wind whispers through the corridors, sending shivers down their spines. As they delve deeper into the mansion, they begin to hear faint whispers that seem to echo through the halls. The whispers grow louder and more insistent, filling the air with an unsettling chorus. The friends exchange nervous glances, their hearts pounding as they try to locate the source of the haunting sounds. Suddenly, ghostly figures materialize before them, translucent apparitions with hollow eyes and outstretched hands. The ethereal beings glide through the air, their movements graceful yet unsettling. The friends watch in horror as the spirits draw closer, their presence filling the mansion with a chilling aura. With adrenaline driving them, the friends turn and flee from the mansion, their hearts pounding with terror. They race through the dark corridors, their breath ragged and their footsteps echoing off the walls. Behind them, the ghostly spirits follow, their unearthly wails growing fainter as the friends struggle to escape. Exhausted and trembling, the friends emerge from the mansion, their minds reeling from the horrors they've witnessed. They collapse on the ground outside, their bodies shaking with adrenaline and fear. As the mist begins to dissipate, they share a silent vow never to return to the shadowed mansion in the woods.
On a foggy autumn evening, 4 friends, Lucy, Tom, Ava, and Ben stand before Greystone Manor, an abandoned mansion known for its haunted past. Ben, always the thrill-seeker, dares the group to spend the night inside. With a mix of nervousness and excitement, they agree, pushing open the creaky iron gate and stepping onto the overgrown path leading to the mansion. The front door groans loudly as they push it open, revealing a dark, musty foyer. Cobwebs hang from the ceiling, and a thick layer of dust covers everything. The air smells of mold and decay. They switch on their flashlights, casting long shadows on the peeling wallpaper as they step inside, the door slamming shut behind them. They decide to explore and find themselves in a grand library, filled with old leather-bound books. A large, dusty chandelier hangs from the ceiling, and an ancient fireplace sits cold and empty. Lucy notices a book lying open on a table, its pages filled with strange symbols. As she touches it, the chandelier above them begins to sway. A sudden cold breeze blows through the room, extinguishing their flashlights. In the darkness, they hear faint whispers and the soft sound of footsteps. Panic sets in as they fumble to turn their flashlights back on, only to see a shadowy figure disappear into the next room. They follow the figure into the kitchen where old rusted appliances and broken dishes litter the floor. The air is colder here and the feeling of being watched intensifies. Ava opens a cupboard and a pair of ghostly eyes stare back at her. She screams and the cupboard door slams shut on its own. In the hallway, they find a door leading to the basement. Ben suggests going down, but Lucy hesitates. The others convince her, and they slowly descend the creaky wooden stairs. The basement is pitch dark and the air is damp and chilly. They feel an overwhelming sense of dread. In the basement, they find an old wooden table with strange markings. A low growl resonates through the room, and they see glowing red eyes staring at them from the far corner. Panic-stricken, they scramble back up the stairs as the growling grows louder. Desperate to leave, they race towards the front door. The house seems to come alive, with doors slamming and ghostly wails echoing through the halls. They struggle to open the front door, finally bursting out into the cold night air. The mansion falls silent behind them. Outside, they collapse into the grass, gasping for breath. The mansion looms dark and silent behind them. They vow never to return, each one haunted by the night's events. The night air is cold, but they feel a sense of relief and safety. Back at their homes, the friends try to return to normal life. But each night, they are haunted by nightmares of the ghostly eyes and the whispers in the dark. The memories of that night remain vivid, and they realize that some horrors can never be forgotten. Blackwood Manor had long been abandoned and forgotten, standing as a dark silhouette against the evening sky. On a chilly, misty night, Lily, a young and curious journalist, arrived to uncover the truth behind the rumors of hauntings. She parked her car at the rusted gates, feeling a mixture of excitement and dread. The mansion's windows stared back at her like soulless eyes. Lily pushed open the creaking door of Blackwood Manor. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the smell of decay. She turned on her flashlight, revealing a grand but dilapidated foyer. Cobwebs hung from the ceiling, and old furniture lay covered in white sheets. Her footsteps echoed in the vast, empty space as she ventured further inside. As Lily explored the mansion, she felt an icy breeze pass by her. Turning around, she saw a shadowy figure at the end of the hallway. The figure disappeared as quickly as it appeared, leaving her heart pounding. Determined to uncover more, she made her way to the library, hoping to find records of the mansion's history. In the library, Lily found rows of dusty old books. As she searched through them, she heard whispers and the sound of pages turning by themselves. She discovered an old journal belonging to the mansion's original owner, Lady Blackwood. The entry spoke of dark rituals and a curse that had been placed on the house and its inhabitants. Lily's exploration led her to a room filled with mirrors. As she walked through, her reflection seemed to move on its own, eyes following her with an unsettling intensity. One mirror in particular caught her attention. In it, she saw the ghostly figure of a woman crying, her eyes pleading for help. Lily reached out to touch the mirror, but the image vanished. Lily discovered a hidden door behind a tattered curtain in the study. She descended the creaky stairs into a dark, musty basement. The room was filled with strange symbols painted on the walls an old dusty book scattered on a table. She found a journal detailing the dark rituals and a curse placed on the house by Lady Blackwood. As Lily read the journal, the basement grew colder. A ghostly figure of Lady Blackwood appeared, her face twisted with rage. She pointed at Lily and screamed, "You should not have come here!" The walls shook, and the air filled with a chilling wind. Lily knew she had to leave immediately. Lily bolted up the stairs, the spirit's screams echoing behind her. She raced through the mansion, the walls seeming to close in on her. She burst through the front door and into the night, gasping for breath. The house stood silent and still, but she could feel the weight of its curse pressing down on her. Back in her apartment, Lily reviewed the photos and notes she had taken. The evidence of the haunting was undeniable. She wrote her article, revealing the dark history of Blackwood Manor. As she finished, she felt a cold draft and heard Lady Blackwood's voice whisper, "You cannot escape the curse." Lily knew the haunting was far from over. On a cold, windy night, 4 friends, John, Sarah, Mike, and Emily, arrive at an old abandoned house at the edge of town. They are curious about the rumors that the house is haunted and decide to explore. They push open the creaky front door and step inside. The air is cold and musty, the wooden floorboards creak under their feet, and they use their flashlights to see. In the living room, they find an old tattered couch and a dusty coffee table. On the wall, there is a large cracked mirror. Suddenly, they hear a whispering sound, but no one is there. They decide to explore upstairs. The staircase creaks loudly as they climb. The hallway is long and dark, with several closed doors. A cold breeze seems to come from nowhere, making them shiver. They open one of the doors and find a room with old children's toys scattered on the floor. The air is even colder here. Suddenly, a toy car moves on its own, and they hear a child's laughter. Frightened, they rush downstairs and find a door leading to the basement. They open it and descend into the darkness. The basement is damp and cold, with a feeling of dread in the air. In the basement, they find an old trunk. When they open it, a ghostly figure of a woman appears, her face twisted in sadness. She reaches out towards them, and they feel an icy chill. Terrified, they run up the stairs and out of the house. The door slams shut behind them, and they can still hear the whispers and laughter. They vow never to return.
In the heart of a dense forest stands an abandoned manor, its crumbling facade veiled in mist. 4 friends, Sarah, Mark, Emily, and Chris, venture into the woods one foggy evening, drawn by tales of the manor's dark history. As they approach, the mist thickens, obscuring the path ahead. With trepidation, the friends push open the creaking front door and step into the foyer of the manor. Cobwebs hang from the ceiling, and dust motes dance in the dim light. The air is heavy with a sense of foreboding as they explore further, the floorboards groaning beneath their feet. Inside the manor, they encounter long, twisting hallways lined with closed doors. Each room they enter is filled with dusty furniture and forgotten belongings. Strange symbols are etched into the walls, and a chill wind whispers through the corridors, sending shivers down their spines. As they delve deeper into the manor, they begin to hear faint whispers that seem to echo through the halls. The whispers grow louder and more insistent, filling the air with an eerie chorus. The friends exchange nervous glances, their hearts pounding in their chests as they try to locate the source of the haunting sounds. Suddenly, ghostly figures materialize before them, translucent apparitions with hollow eyes and outstretched hands. Their ethereal forms glide through the air, their movements slow and deliberate. The friends watch in horror as the spirits drift closer, their presence filling the manor with a chilling cold. With adrenaline driving them, the friends turn and flee from the manor, their hearts pounding with terror. They race through the dark corridors, their breath ragged and their footsteps echoing off the walls. Behind them, the ghostly spirits follow, their unearthly wails growing fainter as the friends struggle to escape. Exhausted and trembling, the friends emerge from the manor, their minds reeling from the horrors they've witnessed. They collapse on the grass outside, their bodies shaking with adrenaline and fear. As the first light of dawn breaks through the mist, they share a silent vow never to return to the haunted manor in the woods. In a sleepy village, Mia receives a mysterious letter inviting her to an abandoned manor on the outskirts of town. Intrigued and apprehensive, she sets out to uncover the secrets hidden within its shadowed halls. As Mia steps through the gates, she's greeted by the unsettling sight of the manor, a grand yet decaying edifice cloaked in darkness. The wind whispers through the trees, adding to the sense of foreboding that hangs heavy in the air. With trepidation, Mia pushes open the creaking door and steps into the foyer of the manor. The air is musty and thick with dust, and the silence is broken only by the sound of her own heartbeat echoing in the empty halls. As Mia explores the manor, she hears faint whispers echoing through the corridors, a chorus of voices pleading for release from their eternal torment. She shivers as the sound sends chills down her spine, guiding her deeper into the heart of the manor. In the darkness, Mia glimpses a ghostly figure, a specter clad in tattered garments, its eyes hollow and devoid of life. It reaches out to her, its fingers trailing wisps of cold air as it beckons her to follow. Driven by curiosity and dread, Mia follows the specter deeper into the manor, uncovering the dark secrets that lie buried within its walls. She learns of a tragic past, a tale of betrayal and revenge that has cursed the manor for generations. As Mia delves deeper into the manor's secrets, she realizes she's trapped in a nightmare from which there is no escape. Desperate to break free, she races through the labyrinthine corridors, pursued by the vengeful spirits that haunt the manor's halls. In a climactic showdown, Mia confronts the source of the manor's curse, a malevolent entity intent on claiming her soul. Armed with courage and determination, she battles the darkness, knowing that her survival depends on her ability to overcome the evil that lurks within. With a final act of bravery, Mia banishes the malevolent entity from the manor, breaking the curse that has plagued it for centuries. As the darkness dissipates, the manor is bathed in a warm glow, and Mia knows that she has succeeded in...
In a secluded forest, shrouded in mist, lies an ancient mansion rumored to be haunted. A group of friends, Emma, Mark, and Sarah, venture into the forest one chilly evening, drawn by the allure of the mansion's dark history. As they approach the mansion, they are greeted by an imposing wrought iron gate, its hinges creaking ominously in the chilly night air. The mansion looms before them, its grandeur faded and its windows like empty eyes staring out into the darkness. Inside the mansion, the air is thick with dust and the sound of creaking floorboards echoes through the empty halls. The friends explore room after room, their footsteps muffled by faded carpets and their voices swallowed by the oppressive silence. As they delve deeper into the mansion, they uncover signs of its dark past. Forgotten rooms filled with cobweb-covered furniture, secret passages hidden behind crumbling walls, and faded portraits of long-dead residents whose eyes seem to follow their every move. As night falls and shadows deepen, the mansion comes alive with strange noises and eerie whispers. The friends feel a presence lurking in the darkness, unseen but unmistakably malevolent, its icy fingers brushing against their skin like the chill of a grave. In a desperate bid to escape the mansion's grasp, the friends race through its labyrinthine halls, their hearts pounding and their breath coming in ragged gasps. But the mansion seems to have other plans, its corridors shifting and changing before their eyes, trapping them in a nightmarish maze from which there may be no escape. Cornered in the mansion's dark heart, the friends confront the malevolent force that has plagued them since their arrival. With a final desperate act of defiance, they banish the entity back into the shadows from whence it came, freeing themselves from its grasp and escaping into the night. A car winds its way through the thick fog, approaching the small town of Willow Creek. Inside are four friends, eager for a weekend of camping and adventure. As they reach the outskirts of town, they pass an old abandoned mansion shrouded in mist. A sense of unease settles over them, but they push it aside, eager to reach their destination. The friends arrive at their campsite by Willow Creek, surrounded by towering trees and the gentle babble of the water. They set up their tents and gather around a crackling fire, swapping stories and roasting marshmallows. But as darkness falls, the woods seem to come alive with strange sounds, and a feeling of being watched settles over the group. As they explore the woods, the friends stumble upon an old, dilapidated cabin hidden among the trees. Intrigued, they cautiously approach, the air thick with a sense of foreboding. Inside, they find decaying furniture and strange symbols carved into the walls. Suddenly, they hear a noise from the darkness, a low, guttural growl that freezes them in their tracks. Driven by curiosity, the friends decide to investigate the abandoned mansion they passed earlier. As they approach, they're struck by its imposing presence, the windows boarded up, the walls covered in ivy. They push open the creaking door and step inside, the air heavy with the weight of forgotten memories. Inside the mansion, the friends are overcome by a sense of dread. Shadows dance in the corners of their vision, and cold spots chill them to the bone. They hear whispers in the darkness, urging them to leave, but they press on, determined to uncover the secrets hidden within the mansion's walls. As they delve deeper into the mansion, the friends encounter increasingly sinister phenomena. Objects move on their own, disembodied voices echo through the halls, and ghostly apparitions materialize before their eyes. Fear grips them, threatening to tear apart their sanity as they struggle to make sense of the horrors unfolding around them. With the mansion's malevolent presence closing in around them, the friends make a desperate bid for escape. They run through the twisting corridors, pursued by unseen forces that threaten to consume them whole. As they burst through the front door, gasping for breath, they realize they've escaped with their lives. But the horrors they've witnessed will haunt them forever.
In the outskirts of town lies an abandoned asylum, its once imposing structure now dilapidated and haunting. Four friends, Tom, Lisa, Ben, and Emily, arrive at the asylum, drawn by its eerie reputation. They stand before the decrepit building, its windows broken and its facade crumbling. Inside the asylum, the air is thick with dust and decay, and the walls are lined with peeling paint. The friends navigate the dark hallways, their footsteps echoing off the walls. Strange whispers seem to fill the air, sending shivers down their spines. As they explore further, they stumble upon an operating room, its equipment rusted and covered in cobwebs. The air is thick with the scent of antiseptic, and the faint sound of footsteps echoes through the room. The friends feel as though they are being watched, and a sense of dread washes over them. Suddenly, ghostly figures materialize before them, translucent apparitions with hollow eyes and outstretched hands. The spirits float through the air, their movements graceful yet unsettling. The friends watch in horror as the ghosts draw closer, their presence filling the room with a chilling aura. With adrenaline coursing through their veins, the friends turn and flee from the asylum, their hearts pounding with terror. They race through the dark corridors, their breath ragged and their footsteps echoing off the walls. Behind them, the ghostly apparitions follow, their unearthly wails growing fainter as the friends struggle to escape. Exhausted and trembling, the friends emerge from the asylum, their minds reeling from the horrors they've witnessed. They collapse on the ground outside, their bodies shaking with adrenaline and fear. The moon hangs low in the sky, casting a soft glow over the abandoned building, a reminder of the darkness they have escaped.
On a chilly autumn evening, four friends, Emily, Jack, Olivia, and Michael, gather around a campfire near Willow Creek. They share ghost stories and dare each other to spend the night at the old abandoned house on the hill. Despite their fear, curiosity wins and they decide to go. The friends arrive at the old house, its silhouette looming against the night sky. The house is in disrepair, with broken windows and ivy creeping up the walls. Jack pushes open the rusty gate, and they walk up the overgrown path to the front door, which creaks loudly as they enter. Inside, the house is dark and cold. Cobwebs hang from the ceiling, and dust covers the furniture. They switch on their flashlights, revealing faded wallpaper and broken picture frames. As they step further inside, the front door slams shut behind them, making them jump. They enter the living room, where an old grand piano sits covered in dust. Emily notices a family portrait on the wall, the face is scratched out. Suddenly, the piano keys play a haunting tune on their own. The friends back away, their hearts pounding. They move to the kitchen where rusted appliances and broken dishes are scattered. The air is colder here. Olivia opens a cupboard and a pair of ghostly eyes stare back at her. She screams and the cupboard door slams shut on its own. The friends huddle together, terrified. They find a door leading to the basement. Michael suggests going down, but Emily hesitates. The others convince her, and they descend the creaky wooden stairs. The basement is pitch dark and damp. Their flashlights reveal old furniture and strange symbols on the walls. In the basement, they find an old table with a Ouija board. Suddenly, the planchette moves on its own, spelling out, "Leave now." A low growl echoes through the room, and they see a shadowy figure with glowing red eyes. Panicked, they rush back up the stairs, tripping over each other in their haste. Desperate to leave, they race towards the front door. The house seems to come alive, with doors slamming and ghostly wails echoing through the halls. They struggle to open the front door, finally breaking it open and escaping into the night. The house falls silent behind them. Outside, they collapse onto the grass, gasping for breath. The house looms dark and silent behind them. They vow never to return, each one haunted by the night's events. The night is cold, but they feel a sense of relief and safety as they walk away. Back at their homes, they try to return to normal life. But each night, they are haunted by nightmares of the glowing red eyes and the whispers in the dark. The memory of that night stays with them, a constant reminder of the terror they faced. In an old, dusty attic, Emily found a large, ornate mirror covered with a white cloth. Curious, she pulled off the cloth, revealing a beautifully carved frame and a mirror that looked untouched by time. Her friend Jack warned her not to touch it, but Emily couldn't resist. As Emily gazed into the mirror, her reflection seemed to flicker. For a moment, she saw a shadowy figure standing behind her. She turned around quickly, but no one was there. Jack saw nothing and told her it was just her imagination. That night, Emily had a terrible nightmare. She dreamt of being trapped in the mirror, unable to escape. Shadowy figures surrounded her, whispering her name. She woke up in a cold sweat, the image of the figures lingering in her mind. The next day, strange things started happening. Objects moved on their own, and Emily felt a constant cold presence. Jack suggested they move the mirror back to the attic, but Emily felt an odd attachment to it and refused. Emily's grandmother visited and immediately recognized the mirror. She warned Emily about the curse, explaining that the mirror traps souls and that they must destroy it before it's too late. Emily was skeptical, but agreed to consider it. That evening, Emily started acting strange. Her eyes glazed over, and she spoke in a voice that wasn't her own. Jack realized the mirror was possessing her and tried to snap her out of it, but she attacked him, screaming that they mustn't destroy the mirror. Jack and Emily's grandmother decided to destroy the mirror. They grabbed a hammer and approached it cautiously. The mirror's surface rippled, and shadowy hands reached out, trying to stop them. With a desperate swing, Jack shattered the mirror. As the mirror shattered, a wail echoed through the room, and the shadowy figures dissolved into smoke. Emily collapsed, unconscious but unharmed. The room felt lighter, and the cold presence was gone. Emily woke up, confused but relieved. In the days that followed, Emily recovered and felt grateful to Jack and her grandmother. They disposed of the mirror's remains and made sure to never speak of it again. The house felt peaceful once more. Emily redecorated her room, replacing the mirror with a beautiful painting. Life returned to normal, and the haunting memories faded away. They knew they'd faced something dark, but their bond was stronger than ever.